Alrighty, thank you for joining me here. As always, such a pleasure to have many of you jump on here with me for the morning mindset. We talk about different things every single day, try to get our minds right, try to get focused, and try to really get into the excitement of what it is that we can do as business owners and as entrepreneurs. And I say excitement because I got a certain subject today. It's been something I've been speaking with a lot of my distributors about in particular, and it's an important one, and it's funny. We'll get into this because once people really kind of get the key to this part of their business model, their lives usually change quite a bit. Their distributorship usually increases its potential by a lot, and it seems to be one of the most daunting things to do. In all reality, we all know how. And so we're going to talk a little bit about it. So get a notebook, get a pen, write down some notes. When we're done, take about 10 minutes, just kind of figure out how you can take what we talked about today and integrate it into what you're planning to do for the rest of your day. I know I'm going to do my best to do the same thing. So today's subject is get animated and tell stories. Don't get so hung up on trying to deliver the message of your company or your product too directly. Let your third-party tools do a lot of that stuff. When you speak with people, you want to speak to them from a very particular place within their psychology. And we're going to talk a little bit about where that comes from. Okay. We all remember when we were kids and how excited we were to hear a story from our parents or teachers. I know everybody on this call, and it doesn't even matter what age you are. I'm currently 40, but everybody on this call can think back to when they were kids and remember at least one or two real powerful stories that really impacted you, okay? That really made some kind of a difference in the way your imagination worked from that point forward. Right. I remember one of mine was the Three Billy Goats Gruff. If any of you remember that story, I used to go to the library during the summer times when I was really little, like 7 years old or so, for story time. And I had a really good storyteller there. And I remember just how alive it was for me to see the Billy Goats Gruff going across the bridge and the troll that was under the bridge and everything that was associated with that. And I remember another one that really affected me was one of my preschool teachers, even earlier when I first read When the Wild Things Are, where was read to, that is. And the thing that's just funny is when we become adults, we separate ourselves, and maturity does that a lot to us anyways, but we separate ourselves from the very valuable perspective of a child. And when I say valuable, it's because if you'll remember when you were children, especially you go out and play and you pretend like you were doing things, or that you were a superhero, whatever it might have been. I mean, you were in that imaginary world, and it was everything to you. And as you grew up, you became more and more in touch with quote unquote reality. Well, let me tell you something very, very true, all right, about this reality that we have. Okay, I'm currently in a building that was built by a person who went to school to learn how to develop and create architecturally, or possibly as a general contractor, the kind of building that I'm in, that all the way back somewhere in the past was inside of the imagination of some individual that first created the opportunity for people such as yourselves and myself to be somewhere warm in the middle of the winter, somewhere enclosed to work in business and to live in a home. At one time, that came from somebody's imagination, and no different than the imaginations that we had as children and the amazing things that we used to do or we used to believe in when we were young. And what happens as we grow old, we mature, is pressure. Life pressures do a lot of things to you, right? You've got to do certain standards of required work to survive. You have to treat people well. You have to earn money. You have to pay your bills. All of these things come in, and we mature. And there's all these other things about being an adult that are freedoms, right, that we didn't have as children and that we quote unquote enjoy. But the reality is we lose a lot when we don't remember certain things about what it was like as a kid. Okay, we really do. Okay, if you think back to those times, you remember the stories the best. The best were the ones where the storyteller was animated. Okay, sorry, I said that all crazy. If you think back to those times, you remember the stories the best where the storyteller was animated. Okay, it is no different in your business now because there is a part of every single person that still wants that imagination to rule their lives. Okay, when you think about the future, when you see yourself as being a successful entrepreneur, when you've got the freedom and you're walking down the beach with your family because you earn the right to take a vacation at the time that you felt that you should, or if you moved to that country that you don't currently live in because you had the freedom to do those things, where do you think that's all happening? That is all happening in the same imagination that you had when you were a child thinking about the billy goat's gruff and the troll that's under the bridge and pretending that you were Superman or Batman or whatever it may have been that just completely took you into that world of imagining. Okay, those tools that we were given as children for some reason as adults tend to fade away from our perspective when they are some of the most powerful things in the potential of our future, period. Okay, so when you're talking to people, tell them stories about yourself. Tell them stories about your struggle. Tell them stories about your discovery of your business. Tell them stories about something that somebody else said to you. Tell them stories about something that changed in the way you speak with your children now because you've decided to be more responsible and more of an entrepreneur. Story, 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 story. Tell everyone you can, as much as you can, about every little detail of your experience that you're having going through this process of going from where you were to being a strong, focused, capable, very visionary individual, because that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur in this space. To build a network marketing company, you have to have vision and share vision. Well, what is vision? Vision is adult imagination. Okay, everybody say that with me right now. Vision is adult imagination. Okay, what's funny is a lot of times as adults we hear the word imagination, and what do? We think about children. Oh, well, yeah, I had a really powerful imagination when I was a kid. Why do we associate imagination with such things as make-believe? Well, it's because when we were children, make-believe was everything, and it was powerful. Man, it was awesome. You know, that's some of my best memories was in the midst of make-believe. When I go grab one of my Hot Wheels that had those doors that open. So, hey, if I've got a Hot Wheels with doors that open, that's not a car anymore. That's an airplane, right? I know every, at least guy on this call today just smiled. I'm sure you've all had your flying cars because the doors opened, right? Little Hot Wheels. My point is, why would we take something so valuable that was so powerful and so amazing and positive and believe that somehow being an adult is no longer part of us or no longer part of other people? Because it's that part of other people's mind that gets them to join your opportunity, that gets them to buy and try your product, that gets them to see the vision of their future. All right, that's important. A good friend of mine, okay, told me that people live in the future, and that when you're wanting to lose weight, you're thinking about losing weight in the future. If you want the perfect mate in your life and you're not married, you're thinking about what that might be like. People live in the future. Well, in the future, our hopes and fears and clarity and uncomfortable ideas and in totality a lot of insecurities in people's minds. A lot of times they look into the future and then they get anxious. You want to help your people get back into their world of make believe. Okay, believe me, that sounds funny, but it's an absolute fact. When you tell stories, work on details and character development. It's like a movie. The better the character development, the more you connect. Okay, one of the examples I've been using a lot is Les Brown. And he always tells the story about the teacher that made this huge difference in his life. And you guys should listen to that. I'm not going to get into the details of it. It's something I've heard him tell this story a million times. He tells it in almost every single one of his talks. But my point is, if you listen to him and you listen to Jim Rohn and you listen to Tony Robbins, you'll notice a pattern of certain stories they tell a lot, and that they do that a lot, and they work on developing those characters, whether that be people that they've helped or their own personal perspective. I know Tony Robbins' story from the time he was on the couch. What's funny is I met a gentleman who used to, because Tony would talk about that stuff in a lot of his talks, and I met a gentleman. Tony actually used to live on his couch. So it's funny because I hear him talk about it. I've never met Tony Robbins in person, but I met the gentleman who actually had a place for him to stay while he was getting his career going. But the reality is, you want to develop your characters deep. Who's the first character in your story? Everybody raise your own hand. Okay, everybody raise your own hand. Okay, people want to know about your struggle, because if you tell about their struggle alongside with the value that you have and the vision that you have, they're going to connect with that. Okay, they want to get in touch with you, right? Just like a movie. You guys have all seen movies where the character development's not done very good, and at the end of the movie you were like, I don't know, that was an all right movie, even if it was like fantastic and they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on it. What really makes a movie potentially very, very easy to get along with and really lets their audience fall in love with it isn't the special effects, right? So in other words, it's not your product, it's not your company, it's you. It's the characters in the movie. You connect with the characters in the movie. It could be a $10 million movie instead of a $100 million movie, and it still completely breaks the box office because people connect with the people that are there. The writers did a very good job at character development. Talk about yourself, your struggle. Talk about what you did today, yesterday. When things happen, write them down. As you go through the things that you're trying to accomplish, write this stuff down. As you get over the hump of certain challenges, write this stuff down. When you feel like it's never going to end and you're never going to make it, write it down. Okay, at one time in this business, I really felt like it wasn't going to get me anywhere. And I struggled a tremendous amount. I argued with myself a lot. I talked to my spouse about it. I talked to my parents about it. And honestly, they even discouraged me and told me to do something different. But it was the fact that I persevered and I stuck it out that got me on the phone with you today and got me on the phone with a large number of other distributors. Okay. And now my experience, the story of my life has become so rich. I would never trade it for a million things. Okay, so what did I just do? I kind of shot from the hip a little bit, but people want to know about you. They want to know your story, and the more you develop that characterization, the more they're going to connect with it because they want to. They want to imagine that vision with you. They want to do that. Just like when we were kids, man, when it was story time, I swear I probably knocked kids over and fell over and was running up to, oh, story time. Nap time, I'd try to hide behind bookshelves and stuff, right? But when it was story time, that's it. It didn't matter what I was doing. It didn't matter if I had my imagination going crazy over here in this corner of story time. I'm coming. I'm sitting right up front. Everybody feels the same way, even as adults. Share your story. Develop your story. Write the things down about your successes, about your struggles. Write down how you're feeling. Just keep a notebook. It's not hard, believe me, in just a few short days, no matter what level you are at right now in your business, in just a few short days, you will develop a story that is absolutely effective because we deal with this stuff every day. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur right now, believe me, today you have enough content from just paying attention today to tell the next 15, 20, 30 distributors about your life. Okay, so adults and children have one thing in common, an active imagination. Okay, don't think adults are any different. They want to have fun. They want to sit up front at story time just like kids do. Okay, don't convince yourself otherwise. It's false to think otherwise. Okay, they want to connect with you. They want to connect with your story. They want to see that vision, right? They want to participate in that. They want to see themselves in that future, just like we used to want to see ourselves in the storybook. right? What happened after we read a good story was read a good story to us? The next 24 hours were the characters from the book, and Julie's going to be the princess, and John over here, he's going to be the knight, and Jimmy's going to be the troll, and blah 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 blah. Because why? Because we love the stories and we want to continue them on into the rest of our lives, and we're still the same way as adults. If you hear a good story from someone and the vision of what they have, people are going to be like, man, I want that. And even if it's the struggle you're sharing with them, they want that too. Okay, people don't want a really easy time, and the ones that do seek it, they have a hard time anyways, because they learn and learn and learn and learn and learn that it's not easy, and so they just get to keep having that same lesson over and over. Okay, the reality is, if you help people expand their vision and see the story and be animated about it and tell the story, be passionate about it, like you're reading to children. The next time you talk to an adult, okay, about your business, okay, I'm not saying pinch him on the cheek and ask him to take a seat on the floor. What I'm saying is think about the fact that they want to see in their minds the vision that you have, and they want the details of your character. Give it to them. You will smile huge walking away from that conversation going, wow, that really worked. So, Thursday, remember what I say every day. If I gave you a $100 bill, took it back, and then gave you $80, you'd know that $20 was missing, because that's a lot out of a $100 bill. 20% of your week is going to happen today. What are you going to do today? Let's make it happen. Let's make it count. Let's get on the phone with some of the distributors that we've already brought onto the business, or even ones that we're talking to right now. Let's tell them our story. Okay, let's do something a little bit different today and just see how that goes. Because let me tell you something. You will enjoy your business so much more when you get this one concept down. You will enjoy it so much more. Okay, telling a story is just as fun as hearing one. Okay, for any of you that read to kids, I got 4 kids. I've read to all of them. I was talking about this before. My children have a story that I tell them called "It's a Dirty Sock, Can of Beans, and a Spoon." It's actually the characters of a Tom Robbins book, although I don't remember even anything about those characters. They've completely taken their entire own life with my kids. But they always want me to tell that story. And I let them pick a character in that story, and then they're always crazy stuff like, a colored unicorn or whatever it might be, a bat named whatever with spots and all kinds of stuff. And they always look forward to it. They love it. They participate in it. Adults are the same way. Okay, find a way to make these stories valuable, because I'll tell you, when you think about others that talk about those that are in their upline, that are the most influential, they talk about the stories they tell. Okay, they don't get up there and say, Beto, he really knows how to talk about coconut oil and the ingredients of Formula 22. He's real good at talking about ingredients. Okay, have you guys ever said that about any leaders? Have you ever heard that about any major leaders? You don't. Okay, that stuff's important, because when people buy from you, they need to know the logistics. So you should know the logistics of your product. But if they're going to join your organization and get it behind you and get behind the business that you're building, then they got to share in that vision. And I apologize, my calendar likes to eat me, which is telling me that I've been spending too much time here with you this morning. That's okay. So thank you so much for joining me. Please take some time to think about your story today. Think about the people that you're trying to influence today. Think about how you can develop your character a little bit more today. I'm not saying become an animated character. Okay, I'm saying speak with passion with people and give them details. Don't hide the details of your struggle. Don't hide the details of your success. Figure out how to articulate them and share them, because people love to hear that stuff. That's what they connect with. Okay, believe me, secondarily, you better have a good product and a great company, so make sure you choose well. But it's all about the same philosophy. Get animated and tell stories. All right, everybody have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow morning.